Hello, I am Laurie Delk.
Hello, I'm Rara. I'm Catherine Asaro Myers, and I am with my wonderful partner here tonight. And we're here to talk to you about your send-out cards business. Right, Laurie?
Right, absolutely.
I don't know if you've thought about this in your business, but whatever stage you're at, I'd like to make this statement. If today's day one, or I started the beginning of my 9th year, so anything up until 9 I can cover. Laurie, you can cover up to 13, right? Your 13th year?
That's right.
Okay, so day one and up to day 13, up to 13 years, you're going to have a question to yourself at some point. You're going to wake up and say, what am I going to do today? Well, what should I do? You know, what should I eat? What should I wear? Who should I talk to? Those are questions you ask yourself. But one of the things that you will do after you ask yourself the question is you will take an action. You'll take an action on that. You'll either do something or you'll ignore to do something. That's still an action. Or you'll push it under the carpet. That's an action. Or you'll walk away from it. Or you'll do it with flying colors. But at some point, there will need to be an action. So I'd like to talk to you about leadership tonight. And although this is probably a 1-week seminar, the short version for what I would like to say, and then we'll talk a little bit, I will have a dialogue about it. Leadership is what you feel like right here in your stomach, in the pit of your stomach. Leadership is what's in your head, how you envision yourself. Leadership is what you do when no one is looking at you, and how you present yourself to you. When you're sitting down and you're writing out your day's plan or your week's plan, or if you're not writing out your day's plan or your week's plan, that's the action you're taking. Leadership is about how you step into it. Sometimes as a leader, you'll say, well, this is how it was done for me, so I'm going to do it for you so that you can be just like that. Sometimes as a leader, no one has done it, and you will be the first. You will step into unexplored territories. You will lead by example. Laurie, what do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes also it may have been done for you in a way that was like what I teach my kids, that everything in life is a lesson. You know, it could be a lesson that's good, or it could be a lesson that teaches you how to not do things. So some of the past of leadership skills that were passed on to you or shown to you could be things that taught you, okay, this is how I don't want to do things. But still, they're all the steps of you becoming that leader and you taking that action. And the thing is, you need to take that action no matter if you have one person on your team, 1,000 people on your team, 10,000 people on your team, or 0 people on your team, because you're still taking that action to be what you want to be. So it's just like, you know, training children, raising your children. We're not rearing children. They already are children. We're rearing adults because you want to rear them the way you want them to be. So the same thing for your team and for yourself. You want to rear yourself. You want to rear your team the way you want them to be. So do you want them to be the baby distributor that's just starting out? Or do you want them to be the huge and powerful leader that's leading and speaking to thousands and hundreds of thousands of people all the time, right? And so that's what you want. So that's the way you need to rear them or train them.
Excellent
point. Yourself.
Excellent point, Laurie, because it might be a way that you've never done before, something new. So let's talk about some leadership examples, because we can certainly give some examples. for example, let's talk about 3 leadership qualities that we notice in leaders around us. We might possess them ourselves. Not that we're possessed, we possess them ourselves. So leadership qualities would be, for example, one is to never be afraid to stand alone. Never be afraid to stand alone. Be proud of who you are, wherever you are, and wherever you are at in your business. Be proud of it. And the third thing is never assume that someone thinks what you have to say isn't important. Never assume that someone thinks what you have to say isn't important. Right, Laurie?
Right, absolutely. Yes. You know, stand on your principles. You know, you have to, you know, like they say, you have to have a stand, something to stand on, right? So stand on your principles. Whatever you decide that the principles are for you and your business, stand on those, whether other people support you or not. You know, you can always learn and grow, and you might change to be better, but you still have your base principles or moral standards, things like that, that you want to stand on no matter what. And then the confidence too, you know, and I think that kind of plays in there as well, you know, and it's not confidence like egotism or prideful or things like that, but confidence of, you know, like with us in our business, you know, if you really and truly believe that this is a great tool that anybody in any business, it can actually really help them in their personal life and or their business life. If you truly believe that, then you'd be doing a disservice for them if you didn't share it with them, right? And if you didn't share it with other people. Because, you know, if you knew your Uncle Joe that's a painter, that this service could actually help him to excel his business, and then you don't tell him about it, how are you helping him? And are you actually doing him a disservice and really kind of being mean for not sharing it with him, holding it against, you know, to yourself and being selfish and not sharing it with him to allow him to excel in his business? You know, so that's where you can have that confidence to share with someone. And the more you learn, and the more, like, one of the things that I know I do, and I know Catherine does all the time, is, you know, we're always on the corporate conference calls. We're always on Jordan's training calls. We're on several other people's leaders training calls, because we're always growing. I've been in the company 13 years. Catherine's been here 9 years. There's probably not a whole lot that other people could tell us that we don't already know. But we are on other people's conference calls because we both know that we've not arrived. There's always stuff that we can learn every day. And every day we do learn things. And like, I'm hosting the Promptings Academy in Nashville in less than a month. And I've been to over 30 of these over the last 13 years. I've traveled, I've flown, I've drove, spent lots of money attending them, and over and over and over. And a lot of people ask me, why do you keep going to them? You know, they say the same stuff. Well, one, they say a lot of the same stuff, but there's always, always, always something new that I learn at every single one, something that I take away. And on top of that, repetition is the key to learning, right? So the more you hear something over and over, the more it's going to help you gain that confidence in that situation. And the more it's going to be embedded into your brain to make you remember it and feel better about it as well, right?
Yes, you're right. So many great points. Do you hear an echo? Okay. out my headset in case there's an echo. You okay? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I think is really important, you made so many very important points, but one of the things that I think is really important is to do something you've never done before. So you're hosting a Promptings Academy, and I'm assuming this is the first one you're hosting, correct? Okay, so you are taking the leadership role of doing something you have never done before. No one could have taught you that. You had to find that within you. Even if you have someone beside you, this is your own stretch and reach and your own desire. So as leaders, we will do things we've never done before because that situation, this is the minute that we have right now, and we will never be able to have this minute again. So if we're talking to a new distributor or to some of our team members and we are listening to a call, something we've heard for 8 or 9 or 10 years, it's never going to be the same. It will always be different because we have new influences in our life. So as you're leading, assume that it's all important. Assume that you need to hear it again. Assume that the information will be processed differently. Have you ever had 2 chocolate chip cookies or 2 pieces of pizza? Well, A, you've had more than one, you'll have them again, and they never taste the same, and you keep striving for that. Did you ever do an exercise and then keep doing it? The results isn't always the same. It changes. You get better at it. Your body, your mind responds. So in leadership, the key is to take the action. It's to do as opposed to think. So action will take you out of doubt, and doubt will take you out of action. We know this, and it's true. Watch a child, watch a puppy, watch another adult go into a situation where perhaps they're feeling frightened and they might stop. So as a leader, know how to handle that. Know that if your team member is frightened, know if your team member is fearless, know if they have courage, know if they have a confidence issue that they're working on. Know that if they have something, you will need to know that there's an action that you can take. No action is wrong. You take an action within reason. So let me preface it. Within reason, take an action to assist the person that's next to you. And when you're a leader, and you are a leader if you're listening to this training, and the reason why I say that is you're taking the time to invest in yourself. When you know that you are a leader, you remind yourself of that and act as if your entire team is watching you all the time. So act as if your entire team is watching you the entire time so that you can be proud and confident about your actions and your beliefs and your thoughts. If you want to have some details, if you have a specific situation and you'd like to know something specific, Laurie and I will be absolutely happy to answer your call. Sometimes you need a specific situation, like, what do you mean? I'm a leader, I'm hosting meetings, I have people coming, I'm a great leader. Yes, that's all fantastic. Or I'm having a meeting and nobody's showing up, or only 4 people showed up, or 20 people showed up and I wanted 100. All of those situations are important. We'll be happy to discuss them with you, no matter whose team you're on, whoever's brought you into the company. We'll be happy to coach you on that, because as long as you're doing it and you can see ahead, you can see what it will bring you, and you don't quit. That's the difference between a leader and someone who's not in the business anymore. You don't quit, you stick with it. We'll be happy to talk to you about it. Laurie, did you want to add something?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and also that's it. You know, you mentioned about no matter how many people are there, how many people are on your team, that's it. You know, a leader, it doesn't matter if you have 0 people on your team or 1,000 or 10,000, like I said before, you know, you make that move and you do those principles, whether it's conference calls. I remember when I was doing team conference calls and there was nobody on the calls, right? And I still did them, you know, and I was like, yeah, it's so great that everybody's on the call today, you know, right? And because I was training myself too, you know, and because I was being that leader and I knew the more that I would take that action, then, I would have people on those calls listening to them. And now I have people that go back and listen to those calls. And that's the same as like these training calls that we do. There's more people that join both of our teams. Every single day we have people coming in on our teams, and every single day we guide people to these calls for these training calls. And, we archive them right on our Gratitude Girls website. So they can not only see just our Gratitude Girl shows, but they can also see our training shows. But, that's it. We try to bring value to anybody that's on our team, whether they're currently on their team, in the past, that sometimes come back. And that's in our company. We have so many more people come back to the business than unlike any other company, because they realize how important our company and what our tool can do for them, that they come back. And then people constantly joining our team every single week, and every single day adding people. And it's so nice and easy to be able to lead people to these conference calls that we have recorded too, because then that also not only helps to train them, but it also helps us to not tie up as much of our time, so that way we can train more effectively in other areas as well.
Right. Good point. Good point, Laurie, to leverage our time. As leader in this business, or in any business, but in this business, in your Send Out Cards business, know that when you put it in your agenda, when you say you're going to do it, if you're accountable to yourself and you do exactly what you say you're going to do, that you will get ahead of the game. If you don't write it out, if you don't put it in your agenda, if you don't care, if you have a laissez-faire attitude and you happen to stumble across something, that's great. But know that the habits that you develop and you form now are the habits that will take you through this business in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's your business to do as you wish. So if it's the first time you're going to handle a business like this, then I congratulate you and welcome to your Send Out Cards team, and welcome to the tribe that you are in and the one that you will develop. If it's something that you're already doing and you're watching us because you want to hear something new for a team member, then by all means, share with us the strategies that you have and let your new team members know, as we believe that you are a leader the moment you tell yourself you're one. And then you act, move forward as if everybody's watching you, with integrity, with honesty, with a belief system and confidence. And from day 1 to day 2 to day 3, you will see what happens. I will guarantee you that you will feel better. Now, that's a tough guarantee to give you, but I'll stand behind that. You tell me if you do those things and you don't feel better. I want to hear from you. Right, Laurie?
Right. Absolutely. Yes. And that is it, that your mindset is so important. And when you tell yourself what you want, that's going to help it come to pass. And you can think about that in so many different ways, and biblical ways of believe as if you've already received, and the new age ways of what you think about, you bring about, so many different realms. It all works, right? It all works from God, and it all works from God's universe. So no matter what you call it, or whatever avenue you want to look at it from, whatever perspective, they still all work together. And so, and that's it. The more you think about that, and the more you tell yourself that, then the more it is going to come to pass. And especially when you do take those actions to put forth with that telling yourself. You can't just talk about it. You can't just say, oh, I am a leader and I am this and I am that, and then just sit back and wait. That's not going to work. You have to put the actions to that. But when you do put the actions to it, and the words and the belief, then you're going to see those great things happen, and you're going to become, and it's so, so, so worth it. I promise you it's so worth it. In this company, it's nothing like any other industry where, like they say, you can work a few years, like nobody else does, so you can play a few years like nobody else can. And it's so true, and it's so worth it. And you know, if you don't believe it, I challenge you, try it. Try it for 1 year, try it for 30 days, but then, you know, once you get the 30 days, then try it for a year. Once you get the year, try it for 5 years. But I guarantee you right now, if you think about like where you were the last 5 years compared to where you are today, now where do you want to be in the next 5 years? And 5 years from now, do you want to look back and think, I wish I would have done? Or do you want to go ahead and do it? And then you're going to be happy those in that 5th year of just amazing things that are going to change into your life. And not only financially, but spiritually, emotionally, as well as financially, and just everything in your life just changes so much for the better if you just focus on it and just really do it. And everybody has, you know, I want to talk really quick. I know we're talking about a lot about leadership, but I want to just, something's just prompted me to add in the time thing. So I know so many people give me the excuse of, I don't have enough time. And I won't go into everything in my life story, but everybody has stories, right? And everybody has issues and everybody's busy. I have 4 kids. I homeschooled them. I own 5 businesses. I had a husband for many years that I took care of. You know, and I worked full time even for many years on top of all that. And I still found time to put things in. The thing is, if you find a little bit of a time, no matter what that time is, but you schedule it and you do it every single day and you do it consistently. So I've worked this business very, very, very part-time, but for 13 years. So I still work it part-time, but I've done it consistently for 13 years. Every single day, a little bit of actions every single day. It's scheduled. It's in my calendar. It happens. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I might work it more in one day than another, but I do it every single day and consistently. And so I just wanted to, just felt like I should throw that in there.
Excellent point. Excellent point, Laurie. I'm so glad that you did. As a leader, if you don't know where you're going and how much time you're going to take to get there and the time it's going to take for you once you get there to spend in that moment, whether you're getting on a plane and you're going to Paris or you're getting in your car and going to a meeting, schedule it, put the time aside, and obviously lead with a plan. So Laurie, you work this business part-time. For those that are wondering, what is part-time? I'll give some examples before we wrap up our training. So what's a part-time schedule for you in your send out cards business? How many hours a day? Can we go into that?
Sure. For me, probably, like I said, it varies every day, but I would say on an average about 10 hours a week. Now for me, I do probably about 1 hour a day. Every day except for Fridays. Fridays is my busy day, and I probably put in 5 or 6 hours on a Friday. That's when I schedule a lot of my one-on-one trainings, as well as my networking events where I present send out cards to 20 to 40 people every week. So those days are a lot more, but throughout the week, then probably about an hour a day. I would say I usually have 1 to 2 phone calls a day on send out cards, sometimes more, just depends. And then about 15 to 30 minutes of sending cards. I'm always at least 15 minutes because I usually send about 10 cards a day. So, and that's on top of my regular birthdays and anniversaries that are just kind of like campaigns that I just click the button to have them go out. But I do spend about 15 minutes every day of, I will just scroll Facebook and I will find somebody that posted some pictures, check to see if I have their address. If I don't, I text them a message and say, hey, what's your mailing address? Don't even tell them why. I've never had anybody not give me their address. And then I just download those pictures, throw it on a card, and send them a card and some brownies most of the time. And it's just a give to give, building that relationship, securing that relationship, enhancing that relationship. And then also a couple, follow-up cards to team members, maybe congratulations for who you signed up, or sending new cards to new team members. So different things like that.
Excellent, Laurie. I am doing this business full time from day one. So my day can consist of 10, 12 hours easily. Now, that doesn't mean it's 12 consistent hours, but it means from the minute I wake up to whatever I'm doing to the minute I go to sleep. I have another business as well. That business doesn't take as much time. I'm working with a minimum, and I know that it's hard to say how effectively we can work with people, but a minimum of 6 people in a day. So that takes up time. Some of those calls are 5 minutes, very few, and some of them are longer. My goal is to have 3 presentations in my organization a day that I'm involved in, so that I get pulled in on a 3-way call, or at the end or the beginning, including my own business, my own upfront business. So for me, it's to be plugged in with my team so that I'm in their schedule, and I host a weekly call. So in leading my team, one day my team will be people I know, and the next day it's someone else that I never met, and I need to know how to adapt to that. And I need to have a part of my schedule that I can give to that new person. So I have what's called an emergency hour in my schedule, but let's call it a gratitude hour, because emergency sounds too dramatic. And that hour floats. So I don't have it in the same place, but that's in case I want to trade off something I'm doing personally for something else. So if I have a brand new distributor that decides that they want to get started at that moment, and they're brought to me from someone else on my team, I have that flex hour. Short of a presentation that's scheduled, in an office with people that I can't change that, so I know when I'm not available, I build in a flex hour. So some of the things I do as a leader is to make sure that I'm available, but to also make sure that I lead with action. So if my team is ready to do something, I'm beside them. If I'm ready to do something, I do that, and then my team knows that they can count on me to take the action. So that's an important step. The step is not to be afraid to stand alone, not to be afraid to take the step. Be confident in what you're doing, know that you're doing the right thing, and believe that what you're doing is for the better of everyone, so that you have the best of intentions. So if you're brand new and you're on this call, or you're whatever rank you're at, and you're on this call, and this is the first time you're on it, think about the leadership skills that you have. Think about the qualities that you have, and then think about the last time you used them. Do you act? Do you take action? Are you writing a book on how to be a leader, or are you living the life of a leader? So if you want to collect your information, I recommend that you do that if that's what you're comfortable with. But at some point, take the step, look ahead, never look back, because you're not going that way anymore, you're going that way. So if there's something you haven't done, put it on your agenda and do it. As a leader, there will be things that you will do that you've never done before. If you've never hosted a meeting, host one. If you've never hosted a meeting, host one. Why am I repeating that? Because every meeting is different. A one-on-one is a meeting. But if you want to adjourn all your friends to a coffee shop and tell them all you're going to be there, call it a fun shop, try it. Don't try it, do it. Because trying means we're not going to get it done. So I encourage you to be true to yourself, be your authentic self, and take a step forward, because that's where you're going.
Right, absolutely. And I would just close with one more thing, so that I thought of course, always thinking of something, and especially related to kids. I always, I have 4 kids and 1 in heaven, so I'm always thinking about something related to kids. One thing I teach my kids, or I, tell people training kids also, you tell them what you want them to do, but you need to show them what you want them to do, right? You need to be the example, right? So you don't tell your kids, don't smoke, don't smoke, don't smoke, and then you sit there and smoke, right? If you believe that you shouldn't smoke, then you tell your kids that, but then you shouldn't be doing that either. You don't do as I do, you don't do as I say, you do as I do, right?
Right.
So that's the same thing with your team. Your team is like your children. It's your family, right? And so, and totally, I mean, my send out cards family, I would not know what to do. I've been in this company for 13 years, but it's not just a company. It's my send out cards family. And that's what I say all the time, because I've developed so many incredible relationships the last 13 years from send out cards. But with that, you're with your family, you want to teach as you do, not as you say. So if you want your team to send 10 cards a day, you need to be sending 10 cards a day. So you need to do what you want your people to do, because they're not going to do what you say. They're going to do what you do. Even if they don't see it or they're not involved, it's kind of like one of those universe or God things. It just happens. So if you're not doing it, no matter how much you're saying it, telling it, preaching it, teaching it, not going to happen if you're not doing it. You have to be the first one. You have to be the one to do it. You have to take that action. If you want your people to present to one person a day at least, or 5 people a day, you need to be presenting to at least one person a day or 5 people a day. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm nodding my head, and whatever you want to have happen in your organization, you need to look at yourself. We need to look at ourselves and say, are we doing it? And to be easy on the new distributors who are listening to this call, whatever your capability is today, know that with each step you take, you will have a wider choice, a larger choice, because of each step that you take. So if you stand in the same place, thinking about that one step, know that when you take the next step, you have more choices, and then you have more choices. So I can relate it to all kinds of things, but I really believe, and I don't surf, but I believe that if I did surf, this is what it would feel like. I would get on the board, I would check out the ocean, I would see where a wave is coming, I would stable myself on the board. Now the wave is going to come, so I'm either going to ride it or I'm going to fall. So there needs to be that moment where I stand up, keep my balance, and take the ride. That's how I look at each day in this business.
And with that, so then you stand with confidence, right, on that board, because otherwise you will fall. But then what happens when you start going on that board? The waves and the water makes that ripple effect that goes out and expands, right? And so that's when you send out that one card, it makes that ripple effect. When you send out that second card, it makes another ripple effect. When you send out that third card, it makes that another ripple effect. So the same thing, no matter what you can do or what you can't do, you do what you can do wherever you're at. I've been doing this 13 years, and yes, I send out a lot of cards. And so I know I need to be careful sometimes when I say that, because, I didn't at the beginning. I sent out maybe 1 card a day. I was pushing to send out 1 card a day. And a lot of times I didn't even send out 1 card a day at the beginning because I frankly didn't have the money to do it. So no matter where you're at, but then you think about that, you're sending out 1 card, and then when you get 1 team member, they're sending out 1 card a day. You get your second team member, they're sending out 1 card a day. You get your third team member, they're sending out 1 card a day. Pretty soon you have 100 team members sending out 1 card a day. And them with all their customers sending out 1 card a day. And there's that ripple effect.
Right.
And that ripple effect not only comes back emotionally, because all those emotions through all those cool cards that make people happy comes through the air and vibes back to you, but also that money comes back to you too, right? So it's kind of nice all the way around.
Good point. Good point. We get a soft wallet or we get a check, and that's a perk in doing this business, because we get paid whether we like it or not. We get paid because the company does that. Laurie, being a leader is fun, and sharing the trainings are a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to answering your questions. And if you have something specific that you'd like us to discuss and we haven't touched on the subject already, please get in touch with us. Laurie, can you tell our teams how they can do that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can, of course, most of you have mine and Catherine's cell phones, our emails, our websites, our Facebook. So you could always reach out to us that way. But also, if you want to reach out to us both at the same time, if you go to our Gratitude Girls page, so facebook.com/Gratitude Girls, and hit message right there, then that message actually goes to both of us at the same time. So you could always reach out to us. Let us know what areas you're having trouble in, or that you'd just like us to train on, or, you know, any ideas that you have. And so we do this. We're building our database of training, and we're happy to do different subjects all the time. And we can do screen shares also if necessary. So, but we try to change it up and do a little bit different, you know, every single week. That's going to help different people.
Awesome. Yes, that's great. Please give us your suggestions, your situations. If you have something that's on your mind, get in touch with us. We will cover it, even if it's not a scheduled training. So know that you can reach out to us. That's great. Laurie, I guess as they say, I don't know, it's a bit of a cliche, it's a wrap for tonight.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much for spending time with me, Catherine. I always enjoy it and adore it. And everybody, once again, thanks for watching our show, and please join back with us for our next one. See you soon.
Thank you to our audience, and thank you, Laurie.